On December 5th, 1993, I was there.
Believe it or not, this was not my first 49ers game. That was in 1991 when the 49ers were a middle-of-the-road team facing an unfamiliar phase of their franchise. Life without their four-time Super Bowl winning quarterback, Joe Montana. He sustained an elbow injury in the 1991 preseason that put him on the shelf until the end of the 1992 season. The 49ers finished 10-6 in 1991. Despite ending the season on a 6-game winning streak, they missed the playoffs for the first time since the 1982 strike-shortened season. The game I went to in the 91 season was a mid-December Saturday afternoon contest against the Kansas City Chiefs. The 49ers won 28-14 and had led from start to finish. How I got to attend this game was mere happenstance. My mom won a raffle at her work, and not only did she win tickets to some great seats, but a pre-game VIP tailgate barbecue inside Candlestick Park. Since my mom wasn't too much into football, this was something I would ask my dad to take me to. It was his turn to have me on a weekend, so I'm sure this was something he didn't mind going to with me. The last time we got together, another free football game was on that weekend. The Niner game was something I was looking forward to the moment my mom won the tickets, and my dad said he and I would go to the Stick. Inside the stadium, my dad and I had some excellent barbecue, and even the Gold Rush cheerleaders stopped by to say hi. The 49ers had an average start in the 1993 season. Then again, the rest of the NFC West was average as well, so the Niners would be the standouts here. After Week 6 and a loss to the Dallas Cowboys in a rematch of the 1992 NFC Championship game, the Niners went on a tear. Going into this game, they had a 5-game winning streak where they dominated the competition. They had established their new full-time quarterback, who already had 2 Super Bowl rings just by being Joe Montana's backup, Steve Young. He shared duties with Steve Bono in 1991 before becoming the #1 signal caller for the Niners. Young led the Niners to a 14-2 season in 1992 before losing to the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game. After going to 2 Super Bowls in the 1980s and nearly winning Super Bowl 23, the 1990s was when the Cincinnati Bengals turned into an embarrassment of a franchise. Their only bright spot was making the playoffs in 1990 and getting to the divisional round. A 3-13 season in 1991 was enough for the team to fire their head coach Sam Wyche and trade the 1988 NFL MVP Boomer Esiason to the New York Jets. Replacing Wyche was David Shula, son of legendary coach and mastermind of the 1972 Miami Dolphins' undefeated season, Don Shula. The Bengals started the 1993 season losing their first 10 games. Combine the loss in their final game of the 1992 season to Indianapolis, that's an 11-game losing streak. They finally stopped the bleeding after beating the Los Angeles Raiders a week before this game to record their first win of the 93 season. The team was full of players that I don't remember at all, and I remembered many decent players that played on really bad teams. In this game, 2 quarterbacks would be sharing the load, Super Bowl 23 backup Jay Schrader and first-round draft bust David Klingler. A team that was trying to get back to the NFC Championship game against a team that had blown it up and was waiting for the dust to settle. The week leading into the game, I was telling my friends at school that I was going to be there. A lot of my Niners supporting friends were predicting a blowout. All the experts predicted that this was primed to be one of those Sunday night games on national television that you wish the NFL came up with flex scheduling much sooner than 2006. The 49ers were 24-point favorites before kickoff. In Super Bowl 29 against the Chargers, the Niners were 19-point favorites. At least the odds makers gave the Chargers a chance. So let the bloodbath begin! In the first quarter, things go according to plan. Ricky Watters pounds the ball in the end zone for a 2-yard touchdown run. Then later in the quarter, with the Niners deep in their own end, the Bengals got on the scoreboard after Alfred Williams sacked Steve Young in the end zone for a safety. After the quarter was over, the Niners were leading by a measly 5 points. Against this lousy team, I need a hot chocolate. I had a friend in high school that I had lunch with almost every day. Even though he was a huge Packers fan, he took in many 49er games. I remember he went to one Niner game in the 1994 season. He told me the next day at school that it was, and I quote, the most boringest damn game I've ever been to. He was at the Stick in 1992 in torrential rains when Jerry Rice would break the touchdown reception record against the Miami Dolphins. One thing he would laud about when going to cold Niner games at the Stick was their hot chocolate. Unrelated factoid here, but from 1990 to 1999, I took in only 3 games in the chilly night at Candlestick Point. the Giants home opener in 1990, this game, and a Giants game on my 22nd birthday in 1999, which would be my final visit to Candlestick Park. At the second quarter, I took a few bucks with me to the concourse and got one of those hot chocolates my high school lunchmate raved about. While I would drink better later on down the line, this was a fine cup of hot cocoa. Okay, back to the story. You didn't come here to hear about me having a drinkgasm from hot chocolates now, did ya? In the second quarter, the Bengals, despite being a gigantic underdog on national television, had to be riding a huge wave of momentum from their first win of the season a week earlier. They would inch closer after a Doug Pelfrey 38-yard field goal. The Bengals continued the momentum by keeping the 49ers off the scoreboard for the entire second quarter and leaving everybody scratching their heads after the rookie Pelfrey made another field goal, this time from 29 yards out to give the Bengals an 8-7 lead going into the half. No, really, I was as shocked as everybody else in that stadium. We were expecting Super Bowl 27, and we ended up getting a baseball slugfest between the Giants and Reds after a half of football. I'm sure Chris Berman was shoehorning one of his famous lines on the late edition of NFL Primetime. That is why they play the games. Steve Young throwing for a mere 179 yards and 2 interceptions might have contributed to this game being surprisingly close, and the underdog Bengals up by 1. In the third quarter, order would be restored as Ricky Watters walked in the end zone for a short 2-yard touchdown run to regain the lead for the Niners. My dad and I left at the end of the third quarter because he had to drive me home, and then he had to drive back to San Jose and get ready for work on Monday morning. We would listen to the rest of the game on KGO with former Sharks TV play-by-play man Joe Starkey. But in all honesty, we didn't miss much. In the fourth quarter, Ricky Watters made sure the game was out of reach with a 4-yard touchdown run, and that would be all of the scoring. A 21-8 final with the Niners on top. Whoever bet for the Bengals to beat the spread or even took the under made a whole lot of money that night. The Bengals finished the season 3-13 and would do the same in the 1994 season. They would go on to be garbage for the next several years and 3 head coaches later. Marvin Lewis took over coaching duties for the Bengals from 2003 to 2018 and finished 8-8 in 2003 and 2004 before making their first trip to the playoffs in 15 years in 2005. After this game I went to, the 49ers stumbled towards the end of the season, losing 3 of the last 4 games to finish with a 10-6 record. But it wasn't 1991 where the Saints or Falcons were a problem. This record was good enough to win the NFC West. Also, since that 10th win of the season was against the Detroit Lions, and the Lions also finished at 10-6, the Niners got a first-round bye on the head-to-head tiebreaker. They annihilated the New York Giants in the divisional round, with Watters running all over the G-men defense with 5 rushing touchdowns. They would meet again with the Cowboys for the NFC Championship, and it would end in the same way. The Cowboys buried the Niners in Big D after head coach Jimmy Johnson pulled a Joe Namath and guaranteed victory. Dem Boys would go on to win their 2nd consecutive Super Bowl, once again against the Buffalo Bills. As of this video, I haven't been to a 49er game since.
But I still remember this game as another treasured memory with my dad, enjoying the bright lights of Sunday Night Football when I was there on December 5th, 1993.